Those questions. When you look at this chart and you see the extraordinary efforts that were made to disclose your identity, and most of this information came out of the Libby trial, what were you thinking when you saw the effort? This wasn't just a leak, was it? I mean, in your estimation, was this just a simple leak of an ID?
Quite a bit of evidence came out in the course of the Libby trial, and I really was deeply dismayed because it just showed a recklessness and a political path that is very, very unfortunate.
In your judgment, when you look at the chart, does it show a fairly organized approach to disclose your identity?
Well, it certainly is wide-reaching.
Because, Mr. Chairman, do leaks occur of agents' identity? It does happen?
I'm sorry, Congressman?
Have there been in the past leaks of an agent's identity?
None that I'm aware of by their very own government.
And you have never, in your experience as an agent, seen this kind of a coordinated effort by one's own government, in this case our government, to disclose the identity of an agent?
No, Congressman, I'm not aware of any.
To what extent does the agency go to protect the identities of its agents?
A significant effort, and again, taxpayers' money, particularly in this day and age of Google and the Internet. The efforts have to be even more vigilant and ever more creative because it is extremely easy to find out a lot of information about someone if you really want to. So the CIA constantly needs to be one step ahead and to protect their operations officers.
So when there's an extraordinary effort made to disclose the identity of an agent, it's destructive of the agency and it's destructive of the taxpayers' investment in the Central Intelligence Agency. Is that not correct?
Absolutely.
And one of the things that keeps running through my mind is why. Why did this happen to you? Was it an unintentional mistake or is it part of a larger pattern? In recent weeks, we've learned that U.S. attorneys in all parts of the country were fired despite exemplary service, and several of these attorneys testified to Congress that they were being pressured to pursue cases against Democratic officials. Others believe that they were fired because they were pursuing cases against Republican officials. Now, have you followed this issue?
Yes, I have, Congressman.
And when I think of what's happened to these attorneys, I can't help but think of your case, because these could be isolated instances, but they seem to be part of a larger pattern. Do you know what happened, for example, to the former Treasury Secretary, Mr. O'Neill, when he wrote his book, The Price of Loyalty?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And after Secretary O'Neill wrote that the Bush administration was planning to overthrow Saddam Hussein in a much earlier time frame than anyone knew, Secretary O'Neill was falsely accused of leaking classified information. Did you know that Secretary O'Neill was investigated by the Treasury Department for a groundless accusation?
I believe I've read that, yes, sir.
Now, in another instance, General Shinseki warned that the United States would need several 100,000 troops in Iraq. Ms. Wilson, do you remember what happened to General Shinseki?
Yes, I do, Congressman.
Well, he was dismissed.
He was asked to.
I'm also reminded of the case of Richard Foster, the government's chief Medicare actuary. He was actually told he'd be fired if he told Congress the truth about how much the administration's proposed drug benefit would cost. Were you aware of that, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, I was.
Now, again, these could all be isolated instances, but they seem to be part of a larger pattern. And I'm struck by what your husband, Joe Wilson, was quoted as saying in the book Hubris. Now, according to the book, here's a quote. Joe Wilson was upset and said he regarded the leak as a warning to others. Stories like this are not intended to intimidate me, since I've already told my story, but it's pretty clearly intended to intimidate others who might come forward. You need only look at the stories of intelligent analysts who say they've been pressured They may have kids in college. They may be vulnerable to these types of smears. Is this what you think was going on here?
When you look at, I will speak only to the realm of intelligence, and you have the politicizing of that. Certainly, Vice President Cheney's unprecedented number of visits to CIA headquarters in the run-up to the war might be one example.
That's exactly the point. What happens when someone's working at the agency level that people are working at when the Vice President visits? The Vice President of the United States comes over and starts looking over their shoulder. Is that intimidating?
Yes, it is.
And
Thank
so,
you, Mr. Kucinich. Your time has expired.
thank you very much.
Ms. Watson?